Hello, Demi here, still using a voice changer, and in this video I'll show you how to build a relatively efficient manual 4-type tree farm that can get you up to 5.3k logs an hour. A wall download, schematic and other useful things can be found in the description. Also, since I haven't really done this before, I'm gonna do the usual thing of asking you to subscribe, like, share, comment, and whatnot. I've made a lot of designs over my 2 years of inactivity in YouTube that I'm now gradually releasing in videos like this one. So, if that interests you, you know what to do. Anyways, onto the video. So, about this farm. This design goes way back. It's definitely the oldest design I've showcased so far, though also the most recently finished design. This is one of those farms that I kept sometimes coming back to for like 10 minutes and finding a few more small improvements. I would call it the most quote-unquote refined farm I've made so far, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm absolutely sure I've missed some very obvious small thing that I'll figure out right after releasing this video and get very upset by. Regardless, I'd like to think it's in a very good state right now. I would like to put the older strange design next to it like I did with my dark oak farm, but unfortunately that schematic is long gone. And now I say that, it wouldn't be that much different, not compared to the dark oak farm anyways. It's just a lot of redstone and collection optimizations. The main concept stayed very much the same. Which, about that concept, funny story. The design is very much inspired by someone else's design I built like 4 years ago or so, but I absolutely couldn't find a video for that design when I started working on my own. Until like very recently in the Minecraft 2 fandom wiki of all places. And not because I was searching for any info or anything, but because people were totally messing it up before it shut down, which was very funny to watch. It's a design by Nims TV, by the way, if I'm saying that right. Which makes it even more odd that I couldn't find it, because the video on their design is at a full 1.4 million views. Check it out if you want though, there's a link for it in the description. Yeah, I know, what a shout out. Anyways, besides the leaf grishes layout and the way the farm is used, not many things are all that similar between these two designs. It was very much vaguely inspired from what I recalled of the design. How does my farm work though? Well, it's really quite simple. When a tree grows, it gets detected and activates these two parallel comparables connected with this that'll act as a timer. When activated, the bonemeal dispenser will stop and the leaf cushions will extend until the timer has run out. While the timer is running, the player will have enough time to break a tree and replant one, all automatically. Oh, and I also wanted to go over the collection system, since I think it's really neat. It exists out of a few water sources and streams that bring all the items to the player. And if the player can't pick up any more of the items, they will get collected by these hoppers. These are completely optional, and I actually almost did not include them, since I felt like the player's inventory isn't good enough storage for this farm. Though, after messing around with it more in survival, I realized that this farm might be a bit too fast for the player inventory, that's why I did include the hoppers. Oh, and about the rear water chest setup here, this chest serves two purposes. It both acts as the universal height limiter and makes it so that items can't get stuck in the middle of the water source, which is also the main reason for it not being a slab or something. You could totally also give it a third purpose and use it for some unassuming storage or something. I don't know. Do what you want. It's your build after all. That's about it though. Now, on to deco tips. So, deco tips. The segment where I try to get you to make your farms look less ugly. Okay, if you don't at least try to make this farm a little cool looking, I'll be upset with you. Actually, no, you know what? You're just not allowed to make this farm if you don't decorate it, which I can totally control. I mean, look at it. It's just asking to be turned into something neat looking. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's kind of just a box. But then again, the fact that it is a box means you can do all sorts of types of decorating, both simple and advanced. The simplest would be to enclose the farm and make it a neat looking geometric shape, with an entrance or just like a nice little house. You could also surround it in leaves and make it look all bushy and such. After all, its exterior is kind of mostly made out of leaves. This is what I did anyways, and I think it looks neat. Though I made the base of the farm look more mechanical with the red cement up, which made the base and top part of the farm look like detached from one another, if you know what I mean. And if you don't, just list me that it looked really quite cool. Anyways, some general tips. You can place as much blocks as you want on top of the farm without affecting it, as long as you don't place blocks directly under the wall. The leaves on the upper bed can be replaced by any full block that allows trees to grow, like logs and wood blocks. And the leaves on the lower half can be replaced by any block that doesn't stick, like melons or glazed terracotta. Same is true for the pumpkins, they just need to be solid, hence why they can't be leaves. You could replace the stairs on the sweepers with other non-super full blocks like trapdoors or fence gates. Well, all except for the bottom stairs, those needs to be stairs to push off items. And yeah, I think that's about all. If you do manage to make it look cool though, feel free to DM me on Discord at CamiBlank. I'd love to see it. Anyways, on to farm overview. Okay, so farm overview. The farm works in any biome in the overworld or end and will work from 1.13 till the current version. However, you could make a similar thing work in earlier versions if you change the collection system. The farm is also not directional, nor locational, so you can build it anywhere you'd like in whatever rotation. I also haven't really mentioned dual point of this farm, so I guess I'll do that now. Because there obviously are much simpler tree farm designs out there that can do a lot more. So why build this one? Well, simply and obviously it doesn't utilize TNT duping. And since the single biggest server thingy disables TNT duping by default and makes it really unclear how you could enable it again, making for a lot of upset people making critical comments below your perfectly functioning designs. There's seemingly a huge demand for a design that automates tree harvesting without TNT duping. Hence why I made this design, in an attempt to fill that demand. You obviously don't need to be from a paper server to build this design though. You can also just want to. I mean, there's plenty of people who simply dislike the practice of TNT duping, and the design itself also has some merit to it, besides TNT duping designs. Like, designs using TNT duping need quite a lot of space, and this little thingy really doesn't. So it makes for a really compact design that's easy to hide away or turn into something pretty. And it's comparatively quite cheap and easy to set up as well. Still, if you're able to use TNT duping and don't care about creating an eyesore, I recommend building this design by ENXO4. Yeah, I know. Another massive shoutout. Sure, I'm humble today. Anyways, before talking about the trees themselves and how you even use this farm, I want to talk about the strategy. Since this design uses the player to mine the trees automatically, axes are involved. The annoying thing about axes, however, is that they use up durability, obviously. Especially the low level ones gets used up quick. Only diamond or netherite ones are able to last a considerable amount, but those are expensive to just keep us up, you know? I mean, you could enchant your axe with mending and attach some sort of XP farm, but you just won't, because Mojang basically took away the big limb echo XP top thingy, and now playless XP farms are kind of dead. Like, what could you use now? Some sort of skeleton only farm or spawn I combined with wolves? I've been dealing with thorns. An XP farm using Skrull and TNT duping. Besides that defeating the whole point of this design, this also kind of just doesn't work. Skill doesn't actually turn into XP when blown up if the blast isn't directly cast by the player. Fun fact. Oh, and what about XP bottles? Yeah, have friends blind oath. Anyways, side tangent aside, my point/suggestion is that you use a toolsmith villager. They will sell you a diamond axe for a few emeralds that even comes pre-enchanted. It can have up to efficiency 2 and unbreaking 2. These axes will last you somewhere from 20 to 15 minutes, depending on your unbreaking luck, and which tree you use. This might not seem that long, but this will be able to get you a substantial enough amount of logs for building. Talking out of experience here, since in the past 4 months we've had this design on an active server, and I've only used 1x for every T type. Uh, well, actually 2 for birch, but still, not a lot. Now granted, we don't often use these logs to create the general things like chests or pistons or stuff, but the whole idea of creating a 4-type tree farm is to actually be able to easily obtain multiple log types, for building and such. So yeah, that I'm rambling way too much in this video. Anyways, numbers. These are the amount of blocks 16 players were able to break before the X with the aforementioned enchantment spoke. It's not a very fast test, but you could get an idea of how many logs you could expect from one X. Well, actually, you should only expect around half because the log swing strips also remove durability, which can't really be avoided unless you play enough version before 1.13 when strip longs went a thing. Actually, I noticed that you're consistently able to mine the first log away before stepping it if you time your inputs properly. I've already managed to make this work with a diamond axe with at least efficiency 1 though, and it's really hard to make work. Basically, what I think it is that you need to stagger your use and attack inputs. How and in which order? No idea. I didn't get it to work consistently. When it does work, look for almost every tree you plant, meaning you will spare quite a bit of durability and obtain a decent amount of instant logs as well. If I ever figure out how to pull off this trick consistently, or if any of y'all know or figure it out, you can find out in a pinned comment. Oh, and one last important thing to mention about the strategy. As long as you eat before using the farm, you wouldn't have to worry about starving. Not at all, actually. You can use a full unbreaking nether eggs before starving. Anyways, let's finally get to how you even use this farm. It's really simple. You turn on the clock, fill the bonemeal chest with bonemeal, and plant a tree. Then, when the tree is grown, you can stand on the trapdoor and look up as straight as you can, while holding an axe in your main hand and your desired sapling in your offhand. After you have gotten yourself into position, you can press both your attack and use key to use the farm. Simply press F3 and T while holding down these 2 inputs to make them persist, so you can go AFK. This is generally how you use this farm, though some things might have to be done a little differently for some of the types. So let's look at them one by one. I'll say in advance that the named rates are all gotten with an efficiency 2x. You could get slightly higher rates with better levels of efficiency, but didn't I convince you to utilize my strategy? Well, regardless, you can keep that in mind. Or they also use siltage because it's possible for the toolsmith to also include siltage with the other enchantments. Though this is only relevant for jungle and oak. Okay, so at first, we have birch, which doesn't actually require you to do anything differently. It is also the fastest tree type and the most bonemeal efficient one. So if you for whatever reason want to use this for plain wood, this one's the best to use. You can expect about 5.3k logs an hour, 1.5k extra saplings an hour, also 1.5k sticks an hour, and the farm will use up around 4.7k bone meal an hour. Next is jungle. For jungle, you technically also don't need to do anything differently, but since the Minecraft will collect items set up correctly, you'll need to position yourself a little more precisely to the right, so you have more of a chance to pick up items. If you don't, you might run out of saplings after extended use. Don't worry if this happens though, there'll be plenty of saplings collected in storage after you've run out. Which is another merit of this farm that I didn't mention. It is incredibly sapling efficient, which is nice, especially for jungle. Now for jungle, you can expect around 4.3k logs an hour, making it the slowest tree, which makes sense because of the height limit and such. Anyways, you can also expect a good 190 extra saplings an hour, 1.3k sticks an hour, and the farm will use up around 6.6k bone meal an hour. Oh, and you can also get around 223 leaves an hour if your axe happens to have siltage. Since I've gotten these rates from an axe with siltage, you can expect a very marginal increase in saplings and sticks if you don't have siltage. And next, spruce. To use spruce, you'll need to height limit the tree by 1 extra. Simply remove the blocks under the height limiting chests, Add any full block that isn't the laurel leaf, and place back the blocks you removed. Don't worry if you spill water when doing this, it shouldn't mess with anything. For spruce, you can expect around 4.7k logs an hour, 1.1k extra saplings an hour, 1.2k sticks an hour, and you'll use up around 6.3k bonemeal an hour. Lastly, oak. Like spruce, you'll need to height limit oak, but you'll need to height limit it by 2 instead of 1 extra, so make sure to add an extra bulwark like shown. For oak, you can expect 4.6k logs an hour, 1.7k extra saplings an hour, 1.6k sticks an hour, 270 apples an hour, and you'll use up around 5.5k bone meal an hour. And, like Jingle, we use self-touch, which can use you about 440 leaves an hour. If you don't have self-touch, the saplings, sticks, and apple rates will be a bit higher. Anyways, that's about it. On to the material list. I'll be using andesite as my building block and granite as my scaffolding block, since they're both easy to count. You can use any block you want, though. You can also use any wood type you want. In the How to Deco segment, I mentioned quite a few blocks you could substitute, so check that out if you're curious. One thing I didn't mention is that you could technically use honey blocks instead of slime blocks, but the items will get stuck on some blocks due to honey not being a full block, so I suggest keeping it to slime. Anyways, good luck with the tutorial! And that's all I have to show you. Make sure to check the description. By the way, I have a lot of other videos planned, so stay tuned if you're interested. Also, if you have any ideas on how I could improve my videos, please tell me down in the comments. Any criticism is appreciated. That's it though. If you have any further questions, feel free to DM me on Discord at CanBeBlank. Also, consider subscribing. It'll mean a lot. See ya.